Is the housing market going to crash in 2021? What is happening in Georgia with these values? And is it ever going to end? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you what I predict is going to happen with the housing market in 2021. Welcome back. I'm Karin Carr with the Georgia Coast Homes team here at Keller Williams in Savannah, Georgia. And on this channel, we teach you everything you need to know about relocating to Savannah. So, what is up with the real estate market? If you've been following the news for any length of time, you know that interest rates are historically low. And by historically, I mean as in never, ever before. My husband and I decided to put our house on the market in August. We bought a house out in the country with some acreage, and we got a 2.75% interest rate, which was insane. And then they went down even further after that. We have clients that have gotten a 2.5% interest rate. So what's the big deal about interest rate? Well, in this example, the house costs $300,000. We're putting 3.5% down at a 3.5% interest rate. Your monthly payment of principal, interest, taxes, and insurance would be roughly $1,896. Not too shabby. But if we change that interest rate to 2.5%, it goes down to $1,740 a month, which means you can stay at the same house price and have a much lower payment, or you can buy a more expensive house for the same monthly payment that you were getting before. And so this is why there is so much buyer demand right now. Buyers are saying, holy cow, I can officially buy a house where the bank is kind of giving money away, and I would be able to own a home for less than I'm paying in rent. Now, hold on, you say. Didn't everybody lose their job during the quarantines? And aren't all these people unemployed and they took forbearance and they're putting their house on the market as a short sale? Well, yes, a lot of people did lose their jobs, I'm sad to say. However, a lot did not. And a lot of people's businesses are thriving in this environment now that everybody's gone digital. Maybe they're working from home, they're cutting costs, they're cutting overhead. It's actually working out better for them. So there are a lot of people right now out there that do have money to spend and can get a mortgage, or they're paying cash and they're able to buy their dream home at a much, much greatly reduced price. So because of this, we have a ton of buyers, but we don't have a lot of houses on the market. And why is that? Well, a lot of sellers are worried that they've got no place to go. If they put their house on the market, they know that it will sell in a heartbeat, but they won't have the next house to go buy, because then they will be the buyer. They will be in a multiple offer situation. So if you are the seller, what can you do? Well, you can either find the replacement home first, and knowing that it might take a good long time, you find the house, you're in a multiple offer situation. Maybe you get lucky the first time around and you're the winner, but maybe it takes 2, 3, 4 houses before you finally get the one that you want. You close on that house and then you put the first house on the market. That alleviates that problem. If, however, you need the proceeds from this house in order to buy this house, that's not going to work. So what can you do? You could put your house on the market and tell the buyers, I am looking for a 3 to 4 month close. I'm going to need to find a replacement home. The sale of this house is contingent upon my ability to buy this house. And if buyers want your home badly enough and they're willing to wait for it, this could be a very good strategy that will allow you to get your home on the market, maybe even close on it and collect the proceeds from the sale. Then you would remain in the house a little bit longer and rent back from the new owner at whatever their new mortgage payment will be. So they're not losing any money by allowing you to remain in the house. You're going to pay them rent while you stay there after the closing, but now you have the money from the sale of this house and a little bit of extra time to go find your replacement house. Or if you're going to be moving out of the area, you're selling your house in Georgia, are you going to a place with a little less demand? Then you'll be able to go there and find your house and not worry that there is such high demand from other buyers all at the same time. Maybe the place that you're going to, it's a more balanced real estate market, and that won't even be a factor. So find out, if you're planning to sell, where do you want to go? How much demand is there? How long does it take to find that house? How long should you allow for that whole process? Now, let's take a look at some of the numbers. I am not a stats girl. I do not like looking at statistics. So, we're just going to log into my MLS and I'm going to show you in real time. If I look at all of the homes that have sold in the last 30 days in Chatham County, so I'm looking at houses, not condos, not townhomes, not duplexes, only in Savannah and the surrounding cities, which make up Chatham County. That's all I'm looking at right here. Sales, Chatham County, last 30 days of homes, 348 houses sold. And if we look at all of the houses and go to our stats, we see that the sale price was 345,000 on average. So average sales price of 345, and it took 84 days to sell. So remember that number, 345. Now, if I go back and I change my criteria to what it was a year ago, so I say 365 days to 395 days, because it's the 30-day period from a year ago. Remember, we said our average sale price was 345. What is it now? A year ago, it was 292. So it's about a $50,000 price increase in one calendar year, simply because of all of this demand. People are now realizing that they can work from home. And if they can work from home, they want to live somewhere that they really enjoy. And they're going to want to spend a lot of time there. They're not going to be packed into a house that's too small. Maybe they want a larger yard. Like us, they wanted a little bit of acreage, some room to grow, maybe not living in an HOA and they're living out in the countryside. They want to be in a different school district, all of the things. So that just shows you the kind of buyer demand that we've seen in the last year and how that has affected house values. When you have a lack of inventory and a ton of buyers who want to buy a house, it means that house values go up. Now, can this continue indefinitely? No. And do I think it's going to continue indefinitely? I absolutely do not. We've seen prices rising for several years. Interest rates have continued to go down. And eventually that's going to stop because the real estate market, just like any other market, goes up and it goes down. So I suspect that we're going to see prices start to normalize and we're going to see a more balanced market. But do I think that the housing market is going to crash in 2021? I absolutely do not. And here's why. I was working as a real estate agent in the last crash, and that was completely different circumstances. Back in 2004, 5, 6, they were giving out loans to people that truthfully were not qualified. And in California, the house prices were so high that hardly anybody could afford those houses. The average working couple buying a $600,000 house with a $4,000 a month mortgage payment was not feasible. Like, who can afford that? And yet those people were getting loans all the time. But the bank said, I know this is really expensive. Don't worry about it. You don't have to pay the entire thing. Just pay the interest only. So now instead of having a $4,000 a month mortgage payment, you're only paying $2,500 a month. That sounds so much better to the homeowner, right? They're thinking, I can't pay $4,000 a month, but I could squeeze out $2,500. So they did. They were paying $2,500 every single month. The only problem is it was a neg-am loan. It was a negative amortization loan, meaning every month, instead of paying down the balance, your balance was going up. So not only were you putting $0 toward your principal amount that you owed, that you borrowed, you were actually adding money to the principal balance every single month. Until one day the bank comes knocking and says, guess what? You cannot only pay your interest only anymore. You got to start paying the entire thing. And did I mention it's no longer $4,000 a month? It's now $6,000 a month. And that is when the entire market imploded. All of these homeowners were simultaneously getting that phone call and they said, are you joking? I couldn't pay the $4,000 a month, which is why I was paying the interest only. I certainly can't pay $6,000 a month. And so they would try to put their house on the market, but prices had started to come down. So the house that I now owed $650,000 on, I can't possibly sell because it's only worth $550,000. Then they were all trying to do short sales. But at the beginning of that whole period, the banks were kind of overwhelmed. They didn't have enough staff. They were not prepared for the onslaught of short sale requests coming in from all of their borrowers. A lot of them said, no, you don't have any reason to do a short sale. We're not going to allow it. In which case, then they had to foreclose on the property. As they started to allow more short sales, unfortunately, there were still a lot of people that said, you're too difficult to deal with. I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to pack up and walk away. So we were flooded with houses that came on the market as distressed sales. They were either bank foreclosures or short sales. And in Northern California, where I live, it was not uncommon for people to lose 50% of their home's value in about 2 years. So that is what caused the housing market crash in 2007 and 8. That is not what is happening here. Yes, we have a pandemic, we have extenuating circumstances for sure, but there are still people out there that are able to purchase properties. We just don't have enough houses on the market. So if you've thought about selling and you're worried that you're not going to have a place to go, call your realtor and tell them that this is the situation. People have backup plans, and maybe there's something that you can do to get what it is that you want, sell and buy the next home without ending up homeless and having to live in an Airbnb for 6 months because you don't have a replacement property to go to. So now that we've got that out of the way, have you thought about selling and you're just not sure how much it's going to cost? In this video right here, I talk about the usual and customary charges for the seller when you're selling your house. So check that one out next.